Hello and welcome to Talking Automotive with Mark and John.
Today we've got Vanya Marinari from Carsales. Vanya's the Commercial Director of Media and Sales and Customer Solutions. And Vanya's going to share the new Carsales mediahouse platform and some of the amazing technology that comes with that. It's a very powerful platform that assists dealers, OEMs, accessory providers with having an incredible tool to be able to target, understand their customer journey, and then tailor a story to what that customer needs. With 30 years experience in auto logistics and state-of-the-art locations in 5 major Australian cities, Precar Fleet Services are a premier all-in-one solutions provider for commercial vehicle fleet operators, leasing companies and original equipment manufacturers. Please visit precar.com.au and click on the link to Fleet Services.
Hi Vanya, welcome to the show. Maybe to kick things off, can you tell us about Carsales Media House?
The way that I love to start is to actually explain what Carsales is as a business first. And Carsales ultimately is a data and technology business that gets Australians as they move through life. And we've been doing this over 25 years. This gives us as a business unrivaled perspective on Australians' relationships with their cars and a whole other spectrum of big decision, life-affirming purchases like buying a boat or better yet, a yacht. What I mean when I talk about big purchase decisions, it's a really important distinction to make because those type of purchase decisions don't come lightly. People do a lot of researching, they get inspired, they move through a whole array of emotions, consideration sets, picking the winner before that transaction happens. And so there's a whole bunch of signals that can be observed through that very in-depth and long journey. And Carsales as a business is really seeing those consumers through that entire journey. So then what that gives us is a really unique data set. Then what Carsales Media House does is uses that unique data set and that audience to empower marketers to make informed and meaningful decisions when it comes to their marketing communications so they can deliver the right business outcomes. Carsales Media House really is the glue between the consumer as they're going through these life-affirming big journeys and the advertiser who wants to connect. Carsales business has been around for 25 years. Our media business has been around for 15 years. Ultimately, there's 3 things we wanted to evolve as a business. We wanted to evolve our offering so it delivers on full funnel ambitions for marketers. We wanted to target people instead of targeting cookies, which has kind of been the way that the digital ecosystem has operated on. And we wanted to become true marketing partners for our advertisers, and not just automotive advertisers, but a whole array of other advertisers and in other categories that can benefit from speaking to consumers that are making big life-affirming decisions.
The customer is very much in the centre of it. The world of cookies are disappearing. All those digital players that have relied on cookies to track customer behaviour, those guys are going to be in a lot of trouble. So it sounds like you're already way ahead of that because you're targeting the customer.
So there's all different types of cookies. The third-party cookie in particular is what we're talking about, is going to be sunsetted in the Google Chrome browser probably the end of 2024. Safari as a browser, I think, deletes their third-party cookies within 24-hour period. Firefox is the same, and there's no such thing as kind of cookie concept in the app environment. So iOS it's just not a language that exists there. The digital environment today, if you look at that, is probably only 33% addressable from a targeting perspective if using third-party cookies, and then measurement perspective, because that's the other challenge. The first-party cookie is what will continue to exist. For us as a business, we want to ensure that we have a future-proofed solution for all marketers that can still deliver the kind of targeting they want and the measurability in a time when that's going to be severely challenged. Privacy compliance is probably the other element to that, because there's a lot of legislative changes coming that is essentially going going to put the user in the driver's seat where they always really needed to be. It's good for the industry and for the users that they get to have a greater say of what happens to their data and how it's used.
Can you explain what a first-party cookie is?
A cookie is essentially just a piece of code or an ID that your browser gets attributed during a session. The first-party cookie is one that you see the full view of your customer in your environment. There's a second-party cookie, which is essentially another party using a business's first-party cookies and on selling that. And third-party cookies are, you don't even know where it's coming from. In most cases, inferred data and assumed data, and it's not necessarily the best way to target accurately.
So the cookies get back to the customer. So this is where you're targeting the individual.
Yeah.
So how do you what's the next phase from that? So you've got the customer's direct information from that first party cookie.
First party cookies don't actually have any personally identifiable information. In the digital ecosystem, there's essentially two ways you can target a user: deterministic and probabilistic. Probabilistic is the vernacular of using first party data to target. In the car sales environment, we have first party data that essentially shows that someone is an SUV buyer. So we know that they're an SUV buyer because they're exhibiting a whole bunch of signals in our environment that very much highly tells us that they're going to buy an SUV, either in 6 months' time, 3 months' time, 6 weeks out. We've got those behaviours, and that's kind of stitched to that first party cookie or an ID, which we're creating, car sales ID. In terms of deterministic data, so that's me knowing that you are Mark Palavestra, and I can target you an ad based on that information that I have. So the thing that needs to happen in this privacy compliant universe is how that data is treated, because obviously your personally identifiable information needs to be treated with the utmost care. So one of the things that we're doing as a business is to ensure that we've got the technology in place to be able to organise our customer data in the most efficient, organised way that is also privacy compliant. We, as All Car Sales Media House, are the first Australian marketplace to partner with Adobe's customer data platform, which essentially enables us to do two things: enable the organisation of that data in a privacy compliant way, and the activation of that data with customers that also have membership or PII data available. One of the products that's coming from that is called Car Sales Match. Mark, what car do you drive?
I've got a 68 Chevy Camaro.
So if I'm speaking to the Chevy marketing team and let's say they've got your data on file as being an owner, and at some point you also looked for that car on car sales and submitted a lead, we would have you on our member base, and let's assume we all have the right permissions from you to be able to target you. So Chevy could take the member base, which includes you in it. We would take our member base, of which we have 11 million records. So then what we do is we take either the email or it might be a phone number that we match on, and we take that information into a data clean room. It's a safeguard to ensure that the data that you provide us is not necessarily seen by us, and that the data that we put in isn't seen by you. It's done in a clean room. And so all that it happens is there's kind of a match that's anonymized and then comes back into our environment. What we can say to Chevy is, we've identified one of your members that might be in market to buy a car again. And so for the marketing team at Chevy, that's interesting because they may not know when you're in market to buy another car. And they might want to start to message you with a whole array of new offers.
So that's actually very powerful information, isn't it? You can be super targeted and your conversion ratios will be off the charts.
Obviously, you're capturing that data on the website, and you may not be converting that person into a sale yet. So you've just got a brochure request that's come through, but you've got that information. You can segment that audience whichever way you like. So you might create a marketing tactic that you want to target all the people that have downloaded a brochure request but haven't necessarily converted, and you want to reach them in the environment of car sales if we can find that match. So the match needs to happen first. but assuming that if they're downloading a brochure request that they're in market, and that's a pretty good chance that we'll see them on car sales at some point.
So then you would serve them a display ad whilst they're searching for other product?
You can serve them with whatever product you like. So we've got an array of products that kind of stretch from display to video to native style products. And we might overlay additional behaviors that we see that you may not. So for example, they've also looked at this brand and that brand, and that's the type of sort of customer you want to target as well. So we can go down the path of enriching the segmentation that the marketing brand has.
Does this make the whole traditional type of advertising totally redundant?
I don't think it'll fall away completely. I think it's really important to have a holistic view of your marketing activity, and every channel and every medium has a role to play in that. But I do believe when it comes to digital advertising, as it evolves, this will become more of the norm than not. The other thing I would say to that too is that that's really good for retention and loyalty, but there's still that need to do prospecting and to grow your customer base. Now, you can use your audience data to actually prospect. So one of the tactics that a lot of brands use is a suppression strategy. So you know that all of these people that you have segmented are current owners, and you actually want to target people that aren't. So you can use that as a suppression strategy, or you want to look for people like your owners that haven't necessarily yet come into the brand.
Because the OEM's got their digital ecosystem, but car sales has a bigger and more diverse ecosystem. How do you get the information from the OEM's ecosystem into your ecosystem?
That's the beauty of the technology. So the technology does that. And Adobe is what we're using to underpin the organization of our data. However, we can work with multiple brands. There's plenty of automotive brands in the market today that I know are going down the path of building out a customer data platform, and it may not be with Adobe. It's just a matter of getting the technology to work together to find those people. And then obviously strategically we put together the overview of what we want to achieve. If you look outside the automotive category and let's use an insurance business, but it's all about, understanding your current customer base and then cross-selling them to other products.
You can actually use their ecosystem with your ecosystem, using the big data and the power of your platform to say, right, this is what we're doing. This is who we're currently targeting. It's been successful, but there's a different messaging strategy for the conquesting opportunities that we've got over here, because we're overlaying the data from your ecosystem that they don't have. So we know that these are the behaviors of these particular types of customers that have a propensity to buy a product, but they're not here. So we can then work with you to then get their data and get access to them to serve them a message to get them to transition down the funnel of consideration to maybe take on that product.
There are many ways in which you can deliver on an objective. And one of the other pillars within our strategy is introducing a team called Fuse. So it's an internal specialist team that bring together a lot of the strengths of the car sales business. So data, technology, creativity, they wrap themselves around a business opportunity. And so they look at all different ways in which they can deliver a business outcome by using kind of strategic and creative services to deliver on full funnel campaign. And these campaigns typically can combine things like branded content, multi-brand partnerships. So how do we, as car sales, partner with another publisher? We've been in talks with Urban List to create a destination. It's called Electric Lane. How do we create content around the EV segment? A lot of our customers are saying that this is really unexpected. This is the kind of innovation that they expect to see from big media businesses and global tech businesses, and to have a category-based player like carsales that has a huge audience. We're talking about 5 million people a month that come into the environment, but having our tech and data background allows us to innovate in these areas.
Because it must really open up the market to who you're targeting and who you're segmenting to. Traditionally, you were very focused on automotive, and now the scope just opens.
The question around who would we be relevant for, or who could benefit from carsales mediahouse, the simple answer is everyone. It's just a matter of how do you find that insight into the audience that's going to speak to the brand that you're speaking to, because car buyers do things outside of looking to buy a car. They have families, they have jobs. In most cases, there's been a trigger event that has kind of moved them into this in-market journey, and that could be anything from I'm starting a family, or I've got a promotion, or my car's broken down. Whatever it might be, it's a big kind of life trigger that happens that actually has a lot of applications outside of just automotive. Anyone that really wants to speak to a big engaged audience, that has a high propensity to spend. So this is the interesting part. Look at the nature of the audience. They are about to drop thousands of dollars on a boat, a caravan, a bike. We have farm machinery. We have construction sales. We've got truck sales. These are really rich audiences that have high confidence to spend.
But even your luxury type items.
Yeah, we can target affluent audiences and target them with that. We can target families, and not only with everything that goes with that. We can absolutely deliver a combined context and audience or decoupled solution. So it really does widen the scope for us as a business in terms of who we're speaking out in market. The rise of EV, let's talk about that. I mean, that's opened up opportunities to a whole array of advertisers we haven't had conversations with before. We've had energy businesses approach us.
But I think one of the things that really highlights for me is you talked about life-changing events. We did a podcast, we had an American guest speaker on. She'd actually worked for a dating app, real estate, and cars. And it was interesting, all three had life-changing events. So you get a partner, you buy a house, you buy a car, and all of them were the same. And it's interesting what you've just covered off, because I was thinking her words are ringing in my ears, and then what you're saying as far as the life-changing events. We in the industry get so sucked into the car itself, and we get too involved in why aren't they buying my car? Don't they know who we are and what our brand is? They know our brand, they should buy our car. Why aren't they? Whereas I like the fact that you guys take the data of the customer and you can track and slice those segments into really tight little categories. You can overlay geography, you can overlay age, you can overlay income level, and you can just see that link tying in. And it gives so much power.
Because we essentially also see ourselves as a search engine where a lot of the deep dive searches happen. So not only do we have the breadth, we then couple that with the depth in the category expertise that we have. So a search might happen on Google, but I will guarantee you that the deep diving that car buyers go into, or bike buyers or caravan buyers when they are in market, happen in our environments, because you're filtering by so many different options, your transmission, colour, seats, there's hundreds of different ways in which customers can really filter down their search when they're going through that journey to ownership, and we capture all of that. Because we've got scale of audience and we have that deep understanding of the behaviour as they're going through the journey, we can also segment our audience depending on where that car buyer is in the journey. We can tell you if someone is 6+ months away from purchase because of the behaviour on site. We can tell you as soon as they start to click over to that intent stage where they're actually 30 to 45 days away from purchase. We know exactly when they're kind of 2 weeks or very close to knowing when they're 2 weeks away from purchase, because the behaviour is so different. That average changeover from new to new was 8 years. Now, we're in the industry. We understand what's happening. We've got our finger on the pulse. Your average Australian is not. And so imagine and think back how much the automotive industry itself has evolved in the last 8 years in terms of the tech and the product and all kinds of things. Your average Australian, when they are in market to buy a new car, have no idea what is available, what's out there, that kind of thing. So the first thing they're going to do, they'll go into an environment where they can actually get a sense of what the market is like and what's available. And that type of behavior is very different, right? So it's very light touch. They're looking at multiple categories. They're reading a lot of news and reviews. What we then tend to see when they're starting to form some kind of a consideration set is that their search goes from, let's say, looking at 5 different segments to 3. All of a sudden, instead of looking at 8 different models across 5 different brands, they start to narrow that down to 3. They start to do different things, like they start saving searches. Their frequency goes up. Their recency goes up. Now they're in this intent stage. And then when they're ready to buy, they're starting to send inquiries to dealers. In terms of when people are submitting leads on car sales, it is absolute real high intent of purchase, because we use this data to then talk to marketers and say, if you have a brand problem or you have a new car you want to launch, target these discoverers. Then when they're getting closer to that intent or consideration purchase, you've got to hit them harder with different messaging. And then when you know they're 2 weeks away from buying, well, that's when you go hard with your retail offers.
And this is where your team helps them. This is where the Fuse team slot comes into play.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's where they use their skills from a creative and tailoring that campaign. So it's one story while they're up in this part of the funnel, and as they transition down, change the creative, change the narrative, and then you start to get more urgency as they come down. And the story is different to the up versus bottom.
What's your business model? How do you transact with your marketers? Do they pay a sort of lump sum to do a campaign, or do you do it by lead or by interaction with a customer, or a success rate, or a mixture of all of it?
The predominant way that marketers, media agency buy inventory on behalf of marketers, and that is based on an impression delivery, so how many times an ad is seen in an environment, and that's based on a cost per 1,000 impressions, so a CPM model. There are different models, though. We can optimize campaigns towards outcomes that the marketers are looking for. So one of the other things that Adobe platform has enabled us to do, and the creation of a unified car sales ID, is we've been able to build a propensity model that essentially allows us to optimize to the marketer's goals. So if you want to drive leads on your website, whether it's locate a dealer, download a brochure, configure your car, we've created a car sales pixel, which is just a piece of code that can be embedded into the advertiser's website. And then we can actually find the match of those people that were on the advertiser's website, what type of behaviors did they exhibit on car sales before they made those actions. And then we can build a propensity model that looks for people like that more. And it optimizes the campaign to that delivery. Now, that's a game changer, because previously, I guess, the businesses that were very good at doing that, delivering that, was probably your big tech giants that had the capability to do that from the get-go. And that's why you'll hear a lot of probably dealers say that those type of environments have worked really well in generating leads. We can do the same thing on car sales now, and we've got the scale, and we also have that contextual audience. So we're really confident that we can deliver an even better result.
So, Vanya, I'm keen to get an understanding of the Ignition part of the platform.
Ignition is essentially a self-serve media buying platform that is designed to empower marketers to make marketing decisions with the unique insight that we have. All those things I talked about, that rich behavior, is essentially embedded into this platform in the planning tool. So it's a 3-stage kind of tool. It allows for you to plan, it allows for you to book and execute and optimize a campaign, and then look at the delivery of that from a reporting standpoint as well. It is how a lot of the social platforms transact their audience with marketers.
It goes back to what John and I often talk about is the PDCA, the plan, do, check, act. So you can do all of that within Ignition. So the planning's there, the execution, the optimization. So plan, do, check it. Okay, can we tweak it? So you can optimize it. And then you act and you go back and you do the review again.
That tool we've designed, to be really easy to use and understand, but also that everyone can access that. It doesn't matter how big or small your operation is. It doesn't matter how big or small your budget is. It's designed so you can use it. Particularly when we're looking at media agency spends, so 60 or 70% of all digital dollars are transacted through platforms. So now we're enabling all buyers to transact in the way that they want to. Having said that, we also recognise that people want to talk to trusted advisors, and we're not removing that at all. So we're kind of offering a low and high touch option. So if you want to be all in the platform and do everything yourself, you're absolutely welcome to do that. We also have a managed service.
So from an automotive perspective, it'd be fair to say all OEMs really need to be talking to you.
Absolutely.
And then large dealer groups.
Small dealerships, because we have scale, we can do this beautiful thing where we can target very niche audiences but still deliver on scale.
And I suppose other opportunities, I'm thinking if I'm a accessory reseller for bull bars,
yeah,
or off-road lift kits and all this sort of stuff, that would make sense that I would then work with you to target and serve my messaging to people who are buying 4x4 off-road vehicles, medium pickup and cab chassis, whether they be new or used, because it works across both. So I could then tell that story and be really targeted and making sure I get value out of my marketing spend, that I'm not shotgun blasting people that don't really listen or hear what I'm saying, because I'll be able to target right down to this is the 4x4 buyer who lives in the outer suburbs of metropolitan cities or in rural areas who want to have this sort of gear. And then a tow bar, then because I'm going to buy a jet ski, so therefore you can serve me as if I'm a jet ski distributor or reseller, I should be doing that as well, because I can then piggyback what's happening with that particular buyer because they're going through a different lifestyle phase. The permutations and combinations are significant. And I don't have to be massive to do it. If I am a big OEM or even a small OEM, I should be doing this. But if I'm a small dealer or a large dealer or even a reseller of accessories, I should be doing this.
And the platform will allow you to book on your objective too. So if you don't have a big budget but need to get that outcome, you can predefine that outcome and make sure that that campaign is optimizing towards those goals.
Because there's a lot of misconceptions about the car sales business. Car sales has been around for 25 years. Many in the auto industry think the old way of, yes, it's a platform to sell cars, new and used cars. Whereas in fact, car sales is a data and technology business. And you highlight that with the information that you talk about, which is you put the customer in the center of everything. And it's the customer's journey that you track through information and primarily through first-party cookies, but information that you're engaging with that client. So it's real, accurate, valuable information, but you protect it. You use clean rooms, etc., so that there is that your data is rock solid. The integrity is maintained. So it's safe, but also it's accurate. And that's the key, because you don't want erroneous data. You're not relying on third-party cookies. It's good quality, primary source data. It's a powerful platform, and you've tied in with Adobe. So this is where you get standardization. So you have standardization, you've got information on the customer and their behaviors, and it links back to their behaviors around lifestyle. So it's not just about cars. It's boats, it's caravans, it's machinery. It's when you have a change in life and all the associated effects that come with that. Because we're talking about a significant purchase here. Often the second largest purchase that individuals make. They make those purchases every 7 years, or some more frequently than that. But in the main, it's a significant purchase. You have the power of your data. You've got this big data and you crunch all these numbers down, and you can segment down to the geography, the age group, the psychology, the psychographics, the behavioral of each of these particular buyers, and you can track to see whether they're at the top end of the funnel or they're right down ready to purchase, and the type of behaviours that they exhibit along the way. So then, this is the power of Mediahouse. You've set up a platform where you provide support and tools for your clients who can have objectives that they need to meet in order to engage, inform, and convince through sales and education them to buy products or services. So here you are, you're coming down the funnel, but you've got the Fuse team, which gives extra support because you've got specialists that have creative input, but also can put these campaigns together and have a solution for your customer. Because often the customer may think one thing, but when you speak with data, you then give them the answers that, or actually maybe you're going down the wrong path. And this is where you get the measurability and the ability to tweak the campaign, because the campaign story at the upper funnel versus the campaign at the bottom of the funnel, it can be different, even though you're selling the same product or service. So you're serving different people, different stories at different stages of the funnel. And this is the dynamic nature of what you're providing through your platform. So the team of specialists, your target audience could be anyone from a large OEM, and large OEMs really should be doing this. You've got small OEMs, you've got large dealer groups, small dealers, but even people associated with the industry like accessory providers or retailers and marketers. You've got other individuals that provide insurance services and other bits and pieces in this ecosystem that is the auto industry. So it's not just OEMs and cars. So hopefully I've done you justice as far as summarising what you've taught us this evening. It's been an amazing story, and thank you for coming on the show.
You've really got the essence of what we have talked about. And yeah, I really thank you both for having me on here, and happy to come back anytime and speak to you some more.
Thanks for listening. Hopefully you got as much out of the conversation with Vanya as we did. An amazing platform with some incredible technology to really focus and target on your audience.